Hello, Lakeisha McKnight here, and I want to welcome you onto the Revitalize the Total Woman podcast. And so this is a podcast, this is a media outlet for the nonprofit based in Chesapeake, Virginia, entitled Women of Elevation Career Services International. And this nonprofit, as well as the podcast, we're here to empower women like yourselves with the tools to be able to create, relate, and elevate. Now, during every year, the first 4 months, we help women like yourself to learn how to create things that will help to enhance your life as well as your business, to ultimately help you to have a satisfying career, because that's what we're here to do. And so what we have been doing and what we're going to be doing over the next 2 days, including tonight, is just helping you to get more insight and how-to information on how to go about creating meaningful and profitable Facebook groups. That's right, meaningful and profitable Facebook groups. And so definitely, if you want to grab a notepad and a pen, feel free to do so. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, with part number 2, but we're going to dive into some basics right now. So feel free, of course, at any time, even after we're done here today, to visit the website to learn more about the podcast and the nonprofit. You can visit www.womenofelevation.com. So Facebook groups. Let's face it now, there are probably a bazillion Facebook groups out there. Some of you probably were added to Facebook groups without consent. I know I have been, and I had to tell a couple of people, hey, do not add me, or of course, I may have to unfriend, quote unquote, you on Facebook, because sometimes it can become annoying when you're just automatically added. And there needs to be a system behind it. That's one nugget that I want to share with you. When it comes to Facebook group creation, there needs to be a system to make it work and make it flow so that it can be a successful group. So one of the things you need to consider is, why a Facebook group? Why should there be another Facebook group, that needs to be created? Do research on the topic that you're thinking about to see if there are any Facebook groups that exist already and whether it's meaningful. Ask to join the group and check it out for yourself. Now, keep in mind, for Facebook groups, there are levels of protection for them, meaning that there are private groups where you can't search for them on Facebook at all. There are closed groups where you have to request to enter the group. And then there are open public groups where you can just join the group and you're automatically allowed inside. So you want to check the privacy of the group to see whether you can just join the group, whether you have to request, or whether you can't even find the group and you have to really get in contact with the person owns the group or monitors the group. And then you want to ask, can you join? So there are 3 types of protection levels. So just be aware of that, because some groups you might have heard of, someone told you about, but you just can't find it. It's because they have it on private mode. Okay, but know the purpose for the reason why you want the group, and research and see whether there are any other groups that exist on that topic. Find out why. Now, there are some people who create groups in support of their other programs they have. If you have a coaching program, if you have some other type of online course, then it may make sense, of course, to create a Facebook group for support so that you can answer questions that people who purchase your product may have. And of course, the only way that they can get access to the group is if they are customers of yours. And that's the reason why many people create the groups. There are other types of groups out there: support groups, groups for projects, groups for small meetings that people are hosting. Board of directors have groups on Facebook. There's so many reasons why, because it's so convenient. And everybody that we know, let's face it, even some of our grandparents are on Facebook. So it's convenient for some people to create groups to keep everyone in touch with one another based on your project or what you have going on. So again, analyze the topic you want to cover, research and find out more about it. Is it going to be a cost required to enter the group, or no cost? It's absolutely free. What type of group you want to create? These are just some things you need to consider before jumping in there and then creating the group. There are certain settings that need to be adjusted inside the group so that it functions well, so that people can find it online. Because one thing that I've learned is that Facebook content is searchable online. So if people are looking for different things, and your mode of protection is open or closed, people can actually research certain topics, and your group will come up when they research it online, depending on how popular your group is. So just keep that in mind, that things are searchable, and that includes Facebook and its groups. One thing that I do recommend before even going further and when you're growing a group is make sure that you do have a backup plan and not just depend solely on a Facebook group. You just never know when Facebook may have to go down. Technology is not 100% reliable, nor because you don't own Facebook, you really technically don't own the group, because you don't own Facebook and your group is right there on Facebook. So have a plan B. That means, of course, you might want to go the traditional route of having a list, a manual list of people you get in contact with and their phone numbers and their email addresses. And perhaps, of course, a database on your computer, like on an Excel sheet. It's always good to have a traditional backup as well as the digital version. You just never know when things are going to go wrong, go south, and you really need access to it. And not just have an Excel sheet on your computer, but also have it on the flash drive so that if something goes down, your business does not disappear. So these are just some tips that I really wanted to share with you today during the episode on how to create meaningful and profitable Facebook groups. Feel free, of course, to definitely come back tomorrow, as we're going to talk about some very important elements as well, how to create your flow so that people know how to exactly access your group and maybe, build your list from it as well. There's so many things you can do from Facebook groups, and even talk about costs. What are some costs that you might charge for people to be a part of your groups? So let's talk about that tomorrow. All right. But remember, of course, this podcast show helps women by empowering women like yourself with the tools to be able to create, relate, and elevate. I can't wait, of course, to come back here tomorrow with part number 2 in this particular series. Thank you so much for connecting. Be sure to encourage your sister, your mom, your grandmom, your colleague to join in and connect with this podcast every week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 8:00 p.m. Thank you so much again for tuning in and connecting here, and I can't wait to help you to create meaningful and profitable Facebook groups. Take care.